Hey everybody, how's it going? Jenazad here. So once again, we are gathered here today for the Sensor Tower monthly revenue report. Now, this is the all-out PvP war zone that everyone has been waiting for. Every single month, everyone gathers to see what games are making the most money, make fun of the games that aren't making as much money, start a war between fan bases saying our game is better than yours or our game's killing yours, etc. This is the true PvP endgame everyone's been looking for. Because if you're playing a PvE game, you have to get your frustrations out somewhere. You go to social media to berate people on Twitter. You go to Reddit to talk crap about somebody else's game. And this is the ultimate proof of if your game is better than their game. So let's get into it. Let's start with the bottom, and we'll go all the way to the top. I'll quickly go through most of these bottom things. Most of them don't really matter. Look at these games. Dead. They're dead games. Sorry if you play them, but you know they're kind of dead games. Now, something you have to keep in mind, though, is this revenue is not 100% accurate. This is most of the mobile revenue, but not quite all of it. It still has some estimation, so it's not pinpoint accurate. You also have to keep in mind that PC is also not included. And there's some gacha games that are played way more on PC than they are on mobile, and a lot of money spent there. So for some of the games, like, you might look at it and say, how is this game still alive? Or I thought this game made way more money. Well, there's going to be a lot of people potentially on Steam or its own PC client from their website, wherever you find it, that is going to be making a lot of revenue for the game. So this doesn't say everything. However, as we all know, mobile is the biggest market out there. So let's get started. So these games not doing so hot. Even this new game, One Piece Dream Pointer, that recently came out in China, that I believe is based after Seven Deadly Sins, not doing so hot. Surprisingly, I actually play Counterside. It's still hanging in there. PC profits, doing pretty well. You know, some games like Alchemy Stars, barely hanging in there, which is too bad. NeuroCloud, I believe, has a collab with Steins Gate. Echoapocalypse is kind of new. Tower of God New World was doing really well until they got super greedy, and now people don't like them anymore. What a shame. Bleach Brave Souls is one of the classic games. People are still hanging in there. Astro Knights of Veda, relatively newer game, not doing so hot. Dolphin Wave is a cultured game, as you can see from this little picture right here. It is a newer Japanese water sports game, I believe. Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, there's 3 Final Fantasy games. They're all hanging in there. Grand Summoners, Eversoul, Girls Frontline 2, Exilium. Now, this is a game that's probably coming to the West, I believe was recently announced, and some other countries as well. Game I'm actually very excited for. It's kind of like XCOM, but with anime girls, and it actually looks really high quality, but there's been tons of drama over in China that I'm not going to talk about all here, but let's just say people are mad about a singular male character in that game. Aethergazer, Tower of Fantasy. This game made so many millions of dollars that even though it's not doing so hot right now, hey, it was the original Genshin killer, as they call it. Octopath Traveler, Mobile Suit Gundam. Break My Case, I believe, is one of these kind of dating games, where you date men, I believe. Dislike Black Clover M. Black Clover was doing so well, but they really screwed the pooch because I heard that they got really greedy and it's not doing so hot. Netmarble Games and being greedy. That's interesting. Let's take a look. Atelier, I believe, is a newer game, not doing too amazing. Some of these games, such as Path to Nowhere, will always just go boom or bust constantly every month, depending on what banners or what's going on in the game. First, we see Blue Lock Project World Champion right here, not doing so hot. IP-based gachas are usually like a candle. They're doing super well at first, and then they just kind of fade into nothing over time, especially because a lot of the games are super greedy. They're living purely off the IP. If it wasn't the IP, the game pretty much would make no money. So they just survive purely off of either nostalgia for a certain IP or just current hype for the game. Let's see. We see Punishing Gray Raven. So not doing so hot this month. You have to keep in mind, though, Wuthering Waves came out, and I'm sure a lot of those players are playing that instead because made by the same company. People are excited about it, etc. Tears of Themis, I believe that is a Hoyoverse game, actually. Not doing amazing. It's another dating sim kind of game. Another Eden. Brown Dust 2, one of the most cultured games you may have seen. They recently had a summer thing, so I guess they're doing a little bit better. Those skins go wild, by the way. Persona 5, I believe this is not in the West yet. It's only, it might be just Korea, Japan, or something like that. A couple places, I think. Final Fantasy 7 used to be making 20 or plus millions of dollars every single month. Not doing so hot this time, obviously. It's another IP-based gacha. Honkai Impact 3rd, the game that started it all with Hoyoverse, really, that really gave them their name. It's still hanging in there, doing all right. Nothing too crazy. Snowbreak Containment Zone. I respect this game. It was floundering. It was dying. like less than $500,000 a month. You could see end of service written all over it. Then they said, I have a genius idea. What if we make our game full Coomer, bikinis, almost no clothing, dorm system where you interact with characters, pole dancing? They did it all. And look at them now. 6 million last month, 3 million this month. And hey, we've seen some of the stuff that's to come. I'm sure that people are just saving up for the next month. It's probably just going to keep popping off. Honestly, I respect it. They saved their game. We got One Piece Treasure Cruise. They probably had a huge banner. I don't know, some version of one of the characters could be like, I don't know, Milkman Luffy or whatever the hell, Gear 20, something like that. And now it's maybe either people are saving or just, kind of lying in wait after spending a lot of money. Got games like Cookie Run, Fire Emblem Heroes. I can't believe Fire Emblem Heroes is still alive, to be honest. Epic 7, woo, 4.5 million. Not bad, not bad. Doing pretty good. They make every single new character overpowered, so that's getting them some money. Hatsune Miku Colorful Stage, the least pay-to-win gacha you'll ever see because you have to pay $0 and you just play a fun rhythm game. Honestly, a banger. One Piece Bounty Rush, another One Piece game making less money, probably just biding their time until they spend a ton of money next time. Azur Lane, it just goes up and down, up and down, up and down, purely based off of whose banner. A lot of these games you'll see sometimes get like huge months where they go up super high and then they die down a little bit. Seven Deadly Sins Grand Cross, chilling at the same amount. Reverse 1999, strangely making way less despite having like a special limited banner. I would have thought that they would make more, but maybe that banner overlapped with the beginning or the end of last month, so people spent money then and then less money this month. AFK Journey, it still hasn't reached the point where it's kind of at equilibrium. A lot of gachas will make a ton of money at the beginning, go down a bit until they reach a point where they kind of remain every single month. Blue Archive, I believe they recently had the Railgun collab, so people spent money, so obviously it's going to be less. Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle went from 11 to 8 million. People just waiting for some new version of Goku or Vegeta or something, or like, I don't know, SSJ, Blue, Rojo, like Brawly or some crazy thing. Sometimes this goes up to like 20 million or something insane based off of who gets released. Jujutsu Kaisen Phantom Parade, strangely going up, so maybe they had a big banner recently. I don't know too much about that game, to be honest. We got Summoner's War, it's eternal, it's always there. The gearing systems of games such as Genshin Impact, Epic 7, Honkai Star Rail, this is the game that started that all. If you hate the gearing system, you better blame Summoner's War, because it was the progenitor. We got Arknights going from an insane 44 million to 11 million. I think they had like either an anniversary or some crazy big event. People were spending like crazy, just going absolutely insane. Now it's back to where it relatively usually is. Arknights has always been doing well. It's kind of an eternal gacha game overall. We got Nikkei going from 21 to 11. They recently had an event with a bunch of characters that people wanted, but now it's dropping down because people are saving for like the collaboration and upcoming stuff, the summer events. Summer events go crazy in Nikkei. They're having a collaboration with Dave the Diver of all things, which is kind of awesome, and that's going to be coming in next month, or actually this month. So I think people were kind of just saving to see what's happening in the summer because they know it's going to go crazy. Uma Musume actually announced that it's coming to the West finally after a million years. Japan does it again, where they wait so many years that people don't care about their game anymore, and then they release it. It'll probably do pretty well, but I suppose we'll have to see. Fate Grand Order, eternal cockroach of the gacha industry. It's been there since gacha was time immemorial. Like, it's always going to be there. And it's still hanging in there, making a pretty darn good amount. Gaku and Idolmaster, don't know much about that. We got Monster Strike. It's been around since forever. Light and Night, I believe, is a newer Chinese, like a Tome game. So a game more aimed at women for dating guys and like pulling guys, I believe. Puzzle and Dragons is an Eternal game. Also been around since forever. A classic game. Solo Leveling Arise. Now you might say, holy crap, game is dead. What the hell happened? It had just come out, so it makes a ton of money. It's an IP-based gacha. People love solo leveling, so it made a lot. Now it's going to keep falling. It'll probably fall next month as well until it reaches that point that it sits at, or it just keeps falling until it dies. That's usually how IP-based gachas go, is they either hang in there for a while and keep making the millions, or they just keep going down, down, down because people realize the game's like bad and greedy or something along those lines. Keep in mind, I believe this is global only? I believe this is not including every other region. Like, I don't think this is including China, I think. Let's see, we got Dragon Ball Legends making more money this month. There's 2 Dragon Ball games. They both do pretty damn well. The Dragon Ball IP is strong. Now we have Naruto Mobile. Strangely, a Chinese-only game, but is always topping the charts in China, making lots of money. I guess people went for some sort of crazy banner. Now it's not doing so hot. But as we know, it'll climb up again because that game is completely eternal. Now, you might notice we're almost at the top here. So there's some games that have not shown off yet, obviously. There is Genshin Impact. There's Honkai Star Rail. There's Wuthering Waves. Where are those games going to be? There's also one other game, Love and Deep Space, that's probably going to be high up there. And there it is, Love and Deep Space. So this game is the most popular hot guy game where you pull stuff for hot guys and you hang out with them, dating sim, that type of thing. Premier game, it's always making tons of money, so it's always popping off. Turns out half of the population is female. So a lot of people actually want games aimed at that demographic. Crazy, right? Now let's see, what do we got next? I'm going to guess it's either Genshin or Wuthering Waves is going to be next. Wuthering Waves. So it made 25 million in the previous month, but that was only like a few days or something before the very end of that month. This month it made 45.5 million, and that's a lot of money. You might say that it's a little bit lower than you would expect, though. A lot of people are expecting Wuthering Waves to be like, oh, it's the Genshin killer, or like it's the real competition with Genshin. It is the first game to come out that actually has high quality and polish to potentially compete with Genshin on a similar playing field. And so you might say 45 million, that seems low. That doesn't seem that great. Well, I think one big thing that may be attributed to this is you have to realize that the optimization on phones is so bad. People are trying to play on their phone, and instead what they're accidentally doing is creating a nuclear superpower in their house, and they're able to heat their entire household and the entire neighborhood. Their phones go to 1,000 degrees and lose 1% power per second or something insane because of the optimization, or they have stuttering or other things. So I've heard a lot of people don't actually want to play on mobile and don't like to, and they just play on PC instead. So this might be one of those games that makes a lot more money on PC. I'm not going to speculate the number. I don't really have any frame of reference of that, and I'm not really sure. But I heard some rumors that apparently the game has made like over $130 million so far. I don't know if that's really true. This is merely hearsay of just news websites, but it looks like it has actually made a pretty good amount. And you might say 45 million is a little lower than you expect, and maybe you're right. But you do have to keep in mind that I think Genshin Impact has warped people's perception of gacha revenue. Games used to make 3 to 4 million, and you'd be like, wow, this game's doing pretty well. That's good. Now when people see that, they're just like, oh, that's a throwaway trash gacha. They don't even care anymore. So things have really changed. Wuthering Waves is making a pretty good amount of money, and hopefully it will continue in the future. Next, I'm going to guess Genshin Impact. Yep, Genshin Impact. Actually making more than last month. As you can see, Genshin is eternal. It makes a ton of money every single month. It completely changed the game. It completely changed the entire world of gacha games and brought it to the mainstream. So this game is basically the progenitor of gacha popularity in the modern age. So it's going to forever be making tons of money. Wuthering Waves may have made a lot less money than it overall. But hey, that's actually still pretty comparable when you compare it to other games such as, I don't know, for instance, Tower Fantasy. Even though Tower Fantasy is more of an MMO and shouldn't really be compared one-to-one, still, it was kind of touted as like the big Genshin competitor back in the day. And last but not least, we're going to have Honkai Star Rail. How much money is it going to make with FIREFLY banner, one of the most hyped up banners of all time? 92 million. Okay. I honestly would have expected more because if you look at the previous month, it was 91 million, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. Like, wow, shouldn't they be making way more than, let's see, it was like Boot Hill, Robin banners? You would think FIREFLY, one of the most hyped up characters of all time, would make a lot more than characters that people seem to not really care that much about. But if you really paid attention to places like YouTube, Twitch, etc., it kind of makes sense. People's excitement was really high leading up to FIREFLY's release, but then you don't really see much buzz after. People weren't really that excited. I think she's a much more lore character. People that are really paying attention and playing through the story really like her a lot more than a character that really hypes up people like ACHERON, which was the biggest banner, I believe, that they ever had. ACHERON brought so many people to the game, was such a huge deal, kind of hyped up the entirety of Penacony, and so she made so much. While FIREFLY, you have to kind of go through everything and understand all the story and really like that type of character. A lot of people aren't really hyped about them. So Kind of makes sense, but also a little bit disappointing she didn't make more, honestly. I mean, I'm a huge Firefly fan overall, and I'm sure a lot of people are. But this is the entire chart of gacha revenue. This was the PvP war. So now you can use this information to talk badly about other people's gacha and say, wow, your gacha sucks ass, and mine is the best of all time. However, overall, I think gacha revenue usually around this time, and I think next month, is not amazing, but I may be wrong about that. A lot of social media stuff usually takes a bit of a dip around this time, I think, for gachas. But, well, Honkai Star Rail, Genshin Impact, Wuthering Waves, Love and Deep Space, Naruto Mobile, what do they all have in common? They're big in China. China runs the entire gacha industry right now. Every game is trying to make it big in China, and they basically determine what is big. How will these games do next month, especially when you think of some of the big releases they'll potentially get, like Genshin's getting Natlan, Honkai Star Rail, I believe they're having Jade, and then we're going to Luofu sometime in the future. I don't know about Love and Deep Space. Wuthering Waves, depends what happens in 1.2, and also Chang Li is going to be coming out in a few weeks or so, and she's a really hyped up banner, so that might keep up some of the revenue, or maybe it won't as much, because this includes Yinlin and Jinshi, which were two really big banners. So Wuthering Waves is still a new game, so we might actually see this number fall until it reaches an equilibrium point that it'll kind of remain at. But hopefully it'll remain at a pretty high value and be, I don't know, part of the big 3, big 4, whatever, right? Because Zenless Zone Zero is also going to be releasing in what? A few days? Like 2 days, basically, 2-3 days. And that game is another Hoyoverse special, so that game might just dominate one of the top spots, depending on how popular it is. I would assume the first month it'll probably be in the top 3. After that, who knows? Only time will tell. But this is about it for the entire gacha revenue chart PvP. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, consider subscribing to the channel, and I hope to see you next time.